An entitled Karen breaks into my house, demanding that she use my bathroom as she was having an emergency. But despite the fact that I told her repeatedly that she needs to leave my property, she refused to go, forcing me to call the cops. Here's what happened. This story also came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Okay, to kind of set the scene, it was a lazy Saturday afternoon, and I was at home enjoying some peace and quiet. I live in a suburban neighborhood where most people keep to themselves. My house is on a corner, so I get a lot of foot traffic passing by, especially on weekends. At around 2:00 p.m., I heard someone frantically knocking on my door. I wasn't expecting anybody, so I just ignored it at first, thinking that maybe it was some kind of solicitor or something like that. But the knocking turned into pounding, and then I heard someone yelling, "Hello, is anyone home? It's an emergency." So I got up to see what was going on, and I opened the door to find a woman, maybe in her 40s, looking desperate. She immediately blurted out, "I need to use your bathroom. It's an emergency." When she said this, I was taken aback. I didn't recognize her, and she wasn't giving off the best vibes. She had this intense, pushy energy that honestly made me very uncomfortable. I told her I was sorry, but I didn't feel comfortable letting a stranger into my home. She then started getting very angry, saying things like, "What kind of person won't help somebody in need? I'll be quick, I promise." But I stood my ground, and I told her that there was a gas station just down the street that she could use. But before I could react, she pushed past me and ran into my house, heading straight for the bathroom. And I was completely in shock. So I followed her, telling her to get out, but she just slammed the bathroom door shut right in my face. And right then and there, I didn't know what to do. I felt violated in my own home. So I grabbed my phone and I called the police. I stood outside the bathroom door, telling her that I had just called the cops and that she needed to leave immediately. But she yelled back that I was being ridiculous and that she would be out in just a minute. Well, the police arrived quickly, and when they did, she finally came out of the bathroom acting all indignant. She tried to argue with the officers, saying that I was overreacting and that she just needed to use the bathroom. But the cops thankfully were not having it. They escorted her out of the house and gave her a stern warning, but they didn't arrest her. But now I'm left wondering if I did the right thing. Some of my friends think that I overreacted by calling the cops, saying that I could have just waited it out and let her leave. But others think I'm completely justified considering that she broke into my house. So am I the jerk for calling the cops on this lady? What should I do? Wow, this is crazy that anybody in your life would be like, "Wow, you overreacted. You should have just waited for this lady to get out of your bathroom." It's like, no, that's not how this is gonna work at all. For starters, she literally broke into your house and was like, "Out of my way, I need to poop," or whatever she was gonna do. Like, that in and of itself is already jarring. Like, I can't imagine someone coming up to my house and suddenly saying, "Oh, it's an emergency, you need to let me in right now." Like, that would make me immediately suspicious. I would not think they have good intentions in the slightest, and I would assume, oh yeah, they're definitely gonna rob me or something like that. But more importantly, just look at the way she acted. This lady broke into your house. She literally pushed her way past you to go to the bathroom. And it doesn't matter if it was an emergency or not. That doesn't give somebody a license to break into your house and do whatever they want. So no, of course you're not the jerk here, and of course you didn't do anything wrong, because this lady could have been insane. And I really think that calling the cops was the only option in this scenario. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My boyfriend's crazy mom is always blowing up my phone at 2 in the morning, trying to get me to wake up my boyfriend, as he tends to sleep in for his family business. And after dealing with this, as well as her controlling attitude all the time, I'm seriously at my wit's end, and I now don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for a bit of context, I'm a 28-year-old female and my boyfriend is 25. Overall, our relationship is practically perfect, and I actually have zero complaints about him at all. But when it comes to his mom, she is absolutely crazy. For starters, he owns and operates a family business with his dad, and when he oversleeps his alarm, which is almost every single day, his mom blows up my phone to try and get me to wake him up, I guess. Now, for further context, my boyfriend is Mexican and I'm white. When we first got together, he jokingly warned me about how Mexican moms are super clingy with their sons, but I wasn't concerned as I felt like I'm a great partner and super likable. His dad speaks basically zero English and his mom speaks very basic English. Like I mentioned, he and his dad own and operate a family business where their shifts start anywhere from 1 o'clock in the morning all the way till 4 o'clock in the morning. After my boyfriend gets off his 12-hour shift, he also usually repairs the equipment with his dad a few times a week. This saves them a lot of money on mechanics work, but it is extremely draining, and they're literally working a 12 to 18-hour shift 6 times a week, sometimes working on Sunday too. And this work will sometimes last until super late in the night, even 11 o'clock p.m., and then they have to start working again at like 2 in the morning. So needless to say, they do an insane amount of work. When we first dated, we lived an hour away, but would hang out multiple times a week after we both got out of work. I would always tell him to feel free to cut off our hangouts whenever he needed to. That way, he could get some adequate sleep for work. But during our hangouts, his mom would blow up his phone, just calling over and over again until he would finally just answer and say that he's coming home soon and not to worry. I met his parents about a month into the relationship. We went to eat and it was decent, but neither of the parents really talked to me throughout the whole dinner or even asked me any questions. I tried to ask the mom a few questions and we had no problem communicating, but she was pretty short. I also bought her a bouquet of flowers I made, as first impressions are everything. At the end of the dinner, she commented how he always comes home so late now. I just laughed and said I always tell him to go home, but he doesn't. And then I said, please let me know if you ever want his number, if you ever don't know where he is. Now she just laughed but did not take my number. I hung out with the family for the last New Year's, and it was alright, but a boisterous family friend made a comment about my man's mom when they were taking family pictures, and they said to me, see, she's gotta get family pictures without you. Didn't you know she's super jealous? Now the family didn't notice as they were just taking pictures, but I just kinda laughed it off. If it matters, they did include me in one picture, so it was a weird comment, but honestly, I didn't think much of it. We moved in February of 2024, which was a small 20 minutes away from his parents' house and the business location. He said his mom tried to discourage it, and I know it was pretty fast, so I kind of understood. But as it got closer, she would be crying and begging him not to go, and even offered to pay the deposit he would lose if he backed out, but he decided to stick with it. As soon as we moved in, I discovered his problem waking up on time for work, and I'm guessing his mom would be the one to force him to wake up for work when he was living at home. He falls asleep almost immediately whenever he is idle for too long. He will sleep for long periods of time when out of work, and will sleep through his alarm for almost 2 hours straight every single day. In my opinion, the poor guy is chronically fatigued. He literally works nearly every day a week at 12 to 18 hours a day. He is absolutely exhausted. Also, if he starts late, sometimes there might not be time to finish all the loads he hopes, but other times the demand is slow enough that whether he starts at 2 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, he is still finishing all possible loads. So it mostly affects what time work is done and what time he can start working on the equipment with his dad. I do try and wake him up a little because the alarms are annoying, but I also let him sleep because I feel bad for how tired he is, and also because it's not safe to be driving extremely sleep deprived. Now back to his mom. I always felt like she never really liked me. The handful of times that we hung out, which was always just going out to eat, it just feels extremely awkward for me, and the family just speaks Spanish the entire time, and I'm mostly just sitting there the entire meal, either on my phone or sometimes talking to my boyfriend when he talks to me. I always had a problem with the extreme lack of conversation between me and the mom because I always thought it was weird to invite me to a meal and just exclude me the whole time. In June, we went to dinner again, and I thought his mom was finally warming up to me. She was asking me questions, talking to me about what her youngest son was up to in school, and I honestly felt really good. At the end of the meal, she asked for my number, so I really thought we were warming up to each other. Well, 2 weeks later, she started calling me at 3 in the morning when he oversleeps. I personally have my phone on silent, so I never answer or respond the next day as I don't see a reason to. On the 4th of July, I went to a small barbecue with my boyfriend's family and his family friends. And trust me, this went so bad. As soon as I got there, the host's older mother was asking my man how it is living with me, as well as asking what I cook for lunch, but all of this was in Spanish. And I just know they're talking about me because she keeps gesturing to me and you can just honestly tell. They then ask in English, what kind of things do you make for him? Now, I'm an incredible cook, so I pulled out an album I had ready of gorgeous, colorful plates. And right when I do that, they start speaking Spanish again. And then in English, they start laughing. They say to me, you need to start making lunches for his dad too. And I thought it was dumb, but I just laughed it off. Apart from those 2 sentences, almost nobody says anything to me. At this point, this lady and my boyfriend's mom keep asking him things, talking amongst themselves and laughing a lot, and I'm just on my phone the entire time. I texted my boyfriend that I know they're talking crap about me, and he says they're not talking crap, it's just the way they banter in his culture. Unfortunately, I cry super easily. I felt very uncomfortable sitting there, not knowing what anyone else was saying, and even though I tried not to, my eyes welled up and I just had to get up and go to the bathroom. The wife half of the hosting party comes to comfort me and says she confirmed that nobody is saying bad things, but said that to be honest sometimes, she sees my boyfriend's mom giving me looks. We have a good talk about how it's hard to win over crazy moms, and I then went back to the barbecue. When I get back from the bathroom, the mom is sitting with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend says to me, "My mom wants to try your cheesecake. Let's get some, shall we?" Which was really weird, because why wouldn't the mom just tell me to get the cheesecakes? Also, then eventually everybody tried them, and I got a lot of compliments on them, but my boyfriend's mom just sat there still not talking to me. When we left, we did say the host's mother was basically asking if I can't cook since I'm white, and if I only make frozen food. My issue is that these people make absolutely zero effort to get to know me, to make me feel genuinely included and welcome. The speaking Spanish part only bugs me when I feel like they're cracking jokes, where I just can't even defend myself, or even know if that's what's being said in the first place. I left the 4th of July feeling super upset, and basically said I never really want to hang out with his family ever again. He says the way that they are is just their culture, but I tell him that I'm sorry, but I'm just used to people of all cultures treating me with basic decency and some kind of effort in the very least in getting to know me just a little bit. Overall, he said that's fine, and that what matters in the end is me feeling comfortable because I'm his partner that he wants to marry and that I come first, which satisfies my uneasiness about his controlling mother. Ever since then, I have not seen them, but his mom has been calling me so much when he oversleeps. Like, we're talking 8 times in an hour. I have her on her very own special mode of do not disturb so that I don't get disturbed by her phone calls, but I'm getting irritated with her feeling entitled to call me at these insane hours. Should I tell my boyfriend to tell his mom to stop calling me for work-related issues? Should I text her myself? I mean, should I just let her keep calling? What should I do? Okay, I can completely understand where you're coming from, where you're like, okay, his mom is kind of crazy and a little bit controlling. But also, what is the boyfriend doing to try and fix this situation? Like, seriously, this is a grown man. This guy's 25 years old. He absolutely should be able to wake up on time for work. Why are you being saddled with that responsibility? Like, that really is annoying. It's like, come on, you can't have your mom wake you up all the time, can you? Because the original poster should not be taking that place. So to that end, I can kind of understand why the mom is calling you, because maybe she thinks that you can help him get up on time. But in my opinion, this problem begins and ends with your boyfriend. He needs to not only talk to his mom about stepping off and stepping back, but also figure out his sleep schedule and his work-life balance. Like, this all seems incredibly unfair to you specifically across the board. And I know if I was in your shoes, I would be very unhappy with the way I'm being treated. Am I the jerk for kicking my sister out of my wedding after she refused to follow the color scheme? Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm a 25-year-old female, and when I was 9 years old, my parents adopted my sister, who we will call Jen, who was 7 years old at the time. Jen was thin and fearful due to being neglected, and we did everything we could to make her feel loved. We bought her lots of toys, and basically everything Jen wanted, she got. When my parents asked me to move to the smaller bedroom so that Jen could have her own room, I was happy to do it. When they asked if I would let Jen pick the decorations and cake for my upcoming birthday, I agreed as well. I was so happy to have a sister, and I understood why my parents gave her special treatment. Only the treatment didn't stop. For years, every trip we went on, we had to do what Jen wanted to do. We had to eat exactly where she wanted, and she got to plan all of my birthday parties. If she didn't get what she wanted, she threw a tantrum. I still felt loved and cared for by my parents. I mean, they drove me to practices, bought me things, cooked meals for me, spent genuine family quality time, and gave me advice. But I always seemed second to Jen. As I got older, I did anything I could to leave the house. I got my first job when I was 12 years old, and I even vacationed with my friends instead of family. I played 3 different sports, and I did band, and I took my driver's test the day I turned 16, and I bought a car right after that. And I even went to college on the other side of the country. Now that I make good money, I do things that I missed as a child. I take fancy vacations and throw elaborate parties as I please, and my wedding was no exception. My fiance and I wanted everything to be perfect, and with that, we thought it would be fun to have a color scheme. My favorite color is yellow, and his is blue. So my guests would wear yellow, and his would wear blue, with any mutual friends wearing green. I picked out a dress with green embroidered details, and he picked a boutonniere with green flowers. When Jen found out about this, she was mad. And I didn't actually know this, but she hates the color yellow as it supposedly washes her out. She told me under no circumstances would she ever wear yellow. Now, when she said this, I just shrugged, and I said to her, okay, that's fine, but I would kick you out if you did not wear yellow. And after I said that, there was no further discussion. But fast forward to my wedding day, and Jen came in a purple dress. And right then and there, I told her to leave immediately. The color scheme was perfect, and she literally ruined it. Now, when I said this, Jen refused to leave. That is, until I threatened to call security. The rest of the wedding went smoothly, but afterwards, my parents were furious with me for kicking Jen out. I told them that I warned her she would be kicked out if she didn't follow the color scheme, but they said they all thought it was a joke. They said it was cruel of me to kick my sister out over something so trivial, but I told them that this was my wedding that I threw without their support, so I can kick whoever I want out. My fiance came rushing up to defend me and even told my parents that they should be ashamed of how they treated me. But over the past few days, a lot of people I've talked to, namely my grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, have all had mixed opinions. Some say that they would not have even invited Jen if they were me, while others are saying that I should have just let it slide. So honestly, am I the jerk for kicking Jen out of my wedding? What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, because I think Jen was trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get exactly what I want today. Like seriously, if there's some kind of like dress code or color code at a wedding, the very least you could do is follow it. And it's not like Jen didn't know about the color scheme or any of that other garbage. She knew exactly what she was doing going to that wedding. She showed up in a purple dress because she wanted to stand out and literally take away from what you were trying to do. And that, in my opinion, is completely unacceptable. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, and I know if I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. Am I the jerk for calling out my husband and his parents after they tried to embarrass my stepdaughter in front of her friends? Here's what happened. So my husband's parents stayed with us for a few days, and the other night, we had an issue that resulted in my stepdaughter being angry, me being angry, as well as my husband and them getting angry. I met my stepdaughter when she was 6 years old, and I started dating my husband when she was 5, with us getting married when she was 8. Now, I'll admit, when we first met, knowing that her mom had passed away, I thought I would be filling in as a mom-like or at least a second mom type of figure. In my heart, I wanted to be her mom, and for her to be my daughter, but it was clear before we got married that it wouldn't happen. She was actually very resistant to being around me. I told my husband that we needed therapy together before we got married, because she had to be okay with things and we needed to figure out what our family dynamic would look like. I won't bore you with the unnecessary details, but she didn't want me to replace her mom. She was already very insecure about me being around because her parents hadn't been together when her mom passed away, which to her meant that she was alone loving her mom. But she knew what we wanted, for her to love me and see me as another mom. But it scared her and it made her sad. It made her tummy hurt, to quote my stepdaughter. But through therapy, we figured out what the relationship would look like. My husband would be the parent and I would be an adult in the home and be a safe person for my stepdaughter. My husband would keep the one-on-one time with my stepdaughter, and we would spend some time together naturally over time and in the way that worked best without forcing it. My stepdaughter would call me by my first name and I'd call her my stepdaughter and not my daughter. And eventually we worked it all out, and we have been good with all of that. She and I have a good relationship, and she's a sweet big sister to her half-siblings. It's all very normal. Then a few days ago, my stepdaughter had brought friends into the house rather quickly, and these were some new friends. She introduced all of us, including me, by my name, but my mother-in-law told her that she could say more than my name. Well, she told them that I was her stepmother technically, but more of a friend. Then my husband and his parents interrupted and said that she should be more generous than that, and that I'm the only real mother she's ever had in her life. And they started to say how grateful she should be to have someone like me as a mother. Well, when she started crying, I told them to stop. I said that my name had been fine. They should stop pushing and trying to humiliate her. My stepdaughter told my husband that she always knew he thought her mom was worthless, but she doesn't. I told her to go get ready and have fun, and I gave her some extra cash. And then an argument broke out between me and my husband and the in-laws. They felt I should appreciate the gesture of defending me, but I told them it wasn't defending me. It was done to humiliate her enough into introducing me how they wanted. My husband regretted his action afterwards, and I told him he'll have to do a lot to make up for it. His parents, however, feel I was cruelly unfair to them, and I should not have snapped at them like I did. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, your husband and the in-laws are completely out of their mind. Why on earth would they ever be like, wow, you should be more grateful to your stepmom. She's the only real mother you've ever had in your life. Like, what in the world is going on right now? That is so rude. You don't say that to a child. Literally, a child who lost their mother. For literally anybody to make that kind of statement and then try to fall back and be like, wow, you were really cruel towards us. That is not only incredibly delusional, but that would be like the only time I ever deal with that, because there's no way anybody's gonna treat this kid in that manner. Like, you guys came to a consensus. You basically figured out what works for all of you, and everything was normal. Like, things really were working out. So for them to step in and be like, no, you have to do it this way. You need to be more grateful. Like, that is crazy to me, and I can never understand that kind of rationale. So no, you're not the jerk, and in my opinion, your husband and the in-laws absolutely need to apologize to her. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, case, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.